Okay, we're here. So, greetings, everyone. This is Terra Lumination with your February 2019 mini generic love and relationship report. And it's for you, Scorpios, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And some folks even watch for their Venus sign, if you can believe that. I can, but it's almost taken it too far. Anyway, I'm not going to stop you. So before we get into it, cards are already well shuffled in advance, but I want to put this aside for a moment because I want to show you a little bit more about what we actually do inside the reading. So I'm hoping this makes sense for you guys, because I just try to talk people through it, but I thought it might be helpful to illustrate things. Now, as you can see, this is another Terra Illumination masterpiece that should be in a museum or art gallery somewhere. But anyway, the idea is to explain the Terra Illumination, like kind of a trademark crucible spread here. It's on the understanding that there's you, the other, deep inside of you, deep in the other, and the core of the relationship itself. And I see it as a bowl, as a structure. And this is the bowl, the whole thing, okay, in which you guys conduct your relationship. A lot of people don't consider this. It's very important from the Terra Illumination perspective because this is a living thing. You guys own this stuff. And the question is, what are you creating? How is this made? What is the structure here? And are you just relating like this, which is a very limited perspective. So anyway, and all out here, this whole thing radiates, the whole thing is like a pulsing entity, energy comes in, energy goes out. I like to think of the external stuff as the weather. Anyway, let's leave it like that. If we have to, we'll come back to that. But in the meantime, let's get on with your reading. Now, Scorpios, you're probably aware we just came out of January with some heavy-duty eclipses, all right? And the Aquarius Leo eclipse, Aquarius Sun and the Leo Moon was very strong at the end of January. And those were in hard angles for you, Scorpio. The Leo-Aquarius axis is typically quite challenging for the Scorpios. Well, things are going to change a little bit in February. I see it as a month of shifting and changing, but it's very lopsided. I would urge you to check out the separate playlist. It's a completely separate playlist for the astrology. It's with the Terra Illumination Astrodoodles. And I will share a little bit here, anyway, just for your edification, to help things along a bit. But we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, okay? No jumpers, no flyers, no oracles, no reversals. Not enough time, not enough room. I just want to get on with the basics here for you guys, okay? So hopefully you will see what comes out here as a rendition of the doodle that I made here. This would be you. What are you radiating? The other, what are they radiating? Deep inside the heart of you, deep inside the heart of the other, and at the core of the relationship itself. This is the crucible, and here is the core, okay? And what are you creating here? What is being nurtured and fostered here? What are you growing? Think of this like as a little plant, like a pot plant or something, a potted plant, and something's growing out of it, as you intimate and separate all the time in the context of relationship. We're going to start by looking at external influences. I think of it as the weather, okay? It could be other people. It could be your location. It could be the astrology. It could be like the history of your relationship, whatever it is. Let's have a look. We're starting with the Four of Cups here. So my feeling is that this doesn't surprise me at all, Scorpio. My feeling is that you got really slammed at the end of January with the Leo Aquarius eclipse, and it's having ripple effects. You know how the echoes of eclipses last for weeks and weeks and weeks before they soften up and the full message starts to ring. So if you're feeling down in the dumps, if you're feeling that you've invested so much time in love and you're wondering like, well, where is this for me? It's a little bit of a self-pity issue here. If you're surrounded by that feeling, you have to also remember, Scorpios, energy flows where attention goes. And if all your attention is on what's not working, then guess what happens? You are adding fuel to the problem. Now, the thing is to remember with this beautiful little card that the love is right there, okay? It's right there, so hopefully you're not going to worry too much. You're not going to worry yourself into a complete breakdown. It's not necessary. with the February season, Aquarius energy is often challenging for Scorpios. So please allow for that. Actually, you know what? Let's just dive here for a moment. A couple of things I want to point out. This is what you would see on the Astrodoodles playlist report. So I'm not going to go into it here, but what I do want to point out is the time when energy's over here in your 7th house of Taurus, okay? 11th and 12th, okay, of February, Moon Taurus. From the 14th onwards, Mars in Taurus. So this could be very, very lively at the same time as a little bit, you might be caught off guard. Also, there's going to be deep rumblings and shifts in your foundations at the core of your life in your home, and that's going to affect relationships too. But you'll hear much more about that on the Astrodoodles report. Okay, so let's get into it over here. So, Scorpio, my feeling is it's okay. This is understandable, all right? Like if you've been swept along, my feeling is that with such a sense of change and shifting from that eclipse, it's really making you pause, like what the heck is happening at the core foundations of my life, and how is that affecting my destiny? That does in turn have ripple effects that affect your relationships, okay, overall. So it's like a really loud dinging bell, and it affects the whole thing. Let's have a look. What are you radiating here? Okay. So this, to me, this is the card that symbolizes being dinged over the head with a frying pan. So this to me is the energy that's still resonating coming out of January, leaving you in a very, very, I would say, awkward position with yourself primarily, wondering like, wait a minute, like what exactly is going on here? You know, the eclipse last month was very much based on this axis here, the core foundations, and how it's affecting you. You know, so are you thinking of different locations? Are you feeling safe and secure at your home? Are you feeling understood and appreciated in your home? Is your home your sanctuary, and at the same time you feel you have to be extremely public in what you do and how you do that? And then, how is that affecting your primary relationship? Okay, next one thing over here, the sun is entering Pisces, okay, towards the middle of the month. So in theory, that's good news for you. You know, it's very sweet energy and it's in your 5th house of true love. However, I still see a lot of ripple effects and like the dinging, sort of ding effect of being slammed by that eclipse at the end of the month of January. Okay. What are they radiating over here? Okay. Well, I think you're extremely lucky, Scorpio. My feeling is that no matter how much of a rough time you might be having, no matter how hard you might be feeling pressured by the environment, by circumstances, by the shifts and the changes, and the inevitable, irreversible evolutionary leaps that are happening for you in your life at the core foundations, you are still very lucky to have this and another party. Okay, this is like pure love. It's undistilled, undiluted. It's of course very delicate. It's very fragile. It's on the understanding that it's almost so simple, Scorpio. It's just like my feeling here is you're quaking and shaking and realizing you have to start looking at your whole life, your whole world from new perspectives, and for everything in your life and your world as it's being shaken up, okay? And that does impact the relationship over here. And my feeling is that you're struggling, okay? Let's just face it, struggling with all of it. And it might be showing in the context of relationship, you know, because they would feel the reverberations over here. However, that does not mean the end of the world. All I'm sensing is that you're like being shaken up over here, ding, and they're over here. It's just like, it's very, very pure. They love you and they know that you love them no matter what. It's very, very simple. Nobody can take that away. They're not going to take that away from you, even if you're having a rough time. Just because you're having a rough time does not mean that they don't love you. They have to deal with their own stuff too, with that, whatever it is. But this is unequivocal, pure, undiluted love, Scorpio. So in some, you're very, very lucky. They have every intention to share that and bring that to you and to be with you at that degree, at that frequency of love. I see this as super high frequency. It's very, very pure. It's the energy of what I would say, like just pure love. It's not based on passion or lust or how much money you've got, how old you are, how young you are, your career, your religion, or your looks or anything. It's just pure love. So I'm really happy for you, Scorpio. Deep down, what's inside over here? Oh, whoa. Okay, so my guess is that you're aware of it deep down, but the stuff that's happening to you in the three-dimensional plane. Let's go back to this at the moment for the moment here. I'm just going back to this stuff, okay? Just what you're dealing with over here for you as an individual is having such reverberations through everything else that it's hard for you to right now to understand the full extent of the relationship dynamic because you're just basically trying to reconfigure yourself with your own evolutionary leaps just to be you, okay? And they are over here just being their sweet selves. They completely love you. There's no question about that. I see the Ace of Cups multiplied here several times in that there's cups here, and cups here. And so my feeling is that I don't want to overdo it, but I feel it's my duty to inform you, Scorpio, that you are very deeply loved in some way, shape, or form somehow. It might not be perceived or understood by you in a way that would be, let's say, in alignment with what you might have expected or would like to see, but it's there anyway. Deep down, my feeling is that you are literally kind of like a magnet. You are attracting the love that you need and you are radiating the love that you need. And I feel that you know this very, very deep down. I feel this is very profound. And it is the energy of sacred opportunity here. And it's like, it's very deep inside of you. And the question is like, these are such powerful love cards here, Scorpio. It might be very hard for you to understand them. And I'm not trying to knock you or, trivialize the reading here. But when you're dealing with like really genuine, pure, true love, you almost can't put it in a bottle. You can't define it. It isn't about like, oh, we had a great wedding, or we've been dating for 6 months now and it's been going great. He's got a few problems and she's got a few problems and whatever it is. No, this is just like, this is almost like divinely blessed. There's an Ace of Cups here. I see a little miniature Ace of Cups here. And it's just a question of that. It's not openly apparent right now. This is off to the side because you're so consumed with like the aftershocks, I think, of the eclipse and the actual ability and opportunity for love to flow in its natural, pure way is still, let's say, germinating. Okay, it's still there, waiting to germinate and to blossom. It's just going to take a little bit of time. We might see a shift and a change, I would say, towards the end of the month, especially when we move to Pisces energy, which is very harmonious for you, and when the Mars moves into Taurus and the Moon flits through Taurus there. Those will be trigger points, okay, towards the end of the month. All right. All right, deep down inside of them. Okay. With the Five of Swords here, my feeling is that they're in a very awkward position deep down because of whatever's happening in their life and their world. Now, remember, Scorpio, this is not a couple's reading. It's all about you, and we're including their energy in terms of like resonance. Think of this as like singing bowls. And it's all about you, but it does, go out there and, how singing bowls can trigger other singing bowls to sing. And this is what comes back at you, okay? So over here, my feeling is that in their own world, as an individual, no matter how coupled you are, no matter how loving you are, you're still you, they're still themselves, okay? You're two individuals. You don't want to end up as codependency where you're permanently stuck thinking like, we have to make love forever. or like, oh, we did it once and that was great, so now let's just move on. It doesn't work like that. We're constantly in a journey of intimacy and separation, intimacy and separation. And my feeling over here, Scorpio, is you're dealing with a significant other who deep down is really, in some ways, struggling to sort themselves out in the three-dimensional plane, just like you. So they're having their own challenges. Like, this is unequivocal. This is not a problem. This is not the problem. The problem is that how does their purity of love translate to them in their personal life, in their world, with whatever's going on in their world that inhibits or conflicts their ability to be like this, to this with you. Okay, so my feeling is they deep down they are struggling to try and, I'm not gonna, I guess, like prove to themselves and prove to others, or justify themselves or justify this thing to others in a way that's very difficult for them, very, very challenging for them. In other words, they probably feel that they have a full right to be this way in this relationship with you, even if it pisses other people off. And then they're left with a problem like, uh, how can I connect? How can I connect with you? And while you, not, sorry, let me do this again. I am here. Don't worry about me. I love you completely and utterly. I understand you're getting really kind of dinged in the head right now. Don't worry about that. Okay. And then you're like, okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. That doesn't solve any problems, okay? It's just like, at least at a sort of like a lunar subconscious level, that energy is there. I think there's no doubt that love is there, and it's as good as it can be. The, the thing is that something is going on in their life, in their world, where that's a problem. That's a problem for them, okay? And it puts them in an awkward spot where they can't help it if they are operating at this super high level frequency of love. And that is a challenge for them in their, let's say, more private personal world, which, you know, it could be friends, family, or jobs, careers, their status in society, whatever it might be, that, let's say, comes into question because of this. If their love is, you know, because let's just say this is very, very strong and this is very, very good for both of you. Again, it doesn't mean it's very simple, it's very pure, but simple is not easy. My feeling is that this is actually a very difficult situation. It already is for you, and there's no doubts about the love that they have for you, but it's actually very difficult for them too, because they may feel as though they're going to have to, in some ways, defend themselves when they would rather not have to, because why would anybody have to defend themselves, or, you know, get into conflicted situations when you're resonating love at these kind of frequencies? You would think you'd be completely immune, but sadly the world doesn't work that way. A lot of people judge other people in ways that are not justified, and that don't necessarily have any meaning except from the other person's perspective, where they are judging. Okay, so if you, Scorpio, are relating with this significant other where there's no doubt about the love, but where there are extreme doubts about what's happening between with each of you as individuals, that could easily be interpreted as, oh, this is a mess, like, oh, they don't love me. But I'm hoping you understand, Scorpio, that that's not an issue, okay? The issue is about, you know, evolution, soul evolution that occurs in love and relationships. We're always intimating and separating, evolving and growing in love and relationship. And that's why people structure these things deliberately. They deliberately create these crucibles in which the good stuff can happen. This is like a like a very fertile ground here when it's done properly and two parties engage in this deliberately. You can grow this thing and it becomes a very beautiful thing, whatever it is, whatever that is. If it's done right, if this is based on love, and it looks like there's no question yours is based on love, okay? It's almost like the deeper you go into the simplicity and the purity of love, the more challenging it can be. Okay, I just put that out there. My feeling is that they're struggling in their own way, just like you're struggling in your own way. Let's have a look at the core here. Okay. My feeling is that it puts you and them in a position of sort of almost like blind faith here, where you're going to have to completely and utterly trust in the relationship itself. In other words, whatever is not working for you, Scorpio, obviously you can't blame them, because what's not working for you might be nothing to do with them. It just might be your own growth and evolution, and vice versa, because their love is basically very simple, pure, and direct. And if they're sensing like real challenges deep inside of them about what's not working about the love and relationship, they're not blaming you. They're not going to blame you. They know they have to deal with this stuff by themselves. So the opportunity is there. There is every opportunity for the most beautiful type of love there is to ferment here and grow here. But the thing is, it's so rare that these things happen, where you get two, let's say, conscious beings who realize, oh my gosh, I'm me and I love you, and I'm me and I love you, but I got some serious problems. And I got some serious problems too. Some of mine actually are to do with the fact that we have this love and that we have this relationship. Well, I have some serious problems too to do with my own evolution, like what's happening in my career and my home and everything, because that affects you too. And like, well, so let's admit it, we've got these issues, okay? So that's fine, okay? Now, when you have a really, really strong, very deeply loving relationship, this crucible can withstand the intense pressures of what is not working with you guys. And you can turn garbage into gold. You can turn lead into gold. And then you go from there. You basically take like raw material. It's almost like alchemy here at this point, where you're taking like, okay, well, this is who we are. This is what we've got. Neither of us have been in this situation before, at this level of soul evolution, at this level of love and relationship. And it's almost like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do now? Remember, Scorpio, this is not a couples reading, okay? It's just like, what am I going to do now? What the bleep am I going to do now? In some ways, you don't have to like think of it consciously. You just have to accept. You just have to completely surrender to the beauty of this that you guys have and that you own, that is out there, and it's unequivocal. And yes, you might be suffering. Yes, they might be suffering, but there's something very beautiful here, Scorpios, and it's you'll probably get a reminder towards the end of the month when you have that thing with Sun in Pisces, Mars in Taurus, and for a couple of days, Moon in Taurus. Things will make a lot more sense more towards the end of the month, okay? This will make a lot more sense. This energy will diminish and the love will grow. It's just that it's like being on an adventure and a journey where nobody ever told you, Scorpio, like what was actually going to happen and how and when and where with who. And now it's happening. And there's no guidebooks, there's no maps, there's no GPS. Your smartphone isn't going to work. You can't live your relationship on a smartphone. So let's have a look over here. Kerblam. So it's almost like you're bulletproof, Scorpio. So there's something very beautiful being created here. I almost feel like I have to say it again. It's out of like the garbage comes the gold. If each of you in your own individual ways as individual beings, in other words, you are not them, they are not you. You're being you, they are being themselves, and love is undoubtedly shared and being nurtured and fostered between you guys in some way, shape, or form or another. Maybe it's not a traditional marriage. Maybe it's not traditional boyfriend, girlfriend. Maybe it's not, maybe it's not, it's completely unconventional. It doesn't matter. But if it has those kind of qualities where it's confounding to you, it's confounding to them, it puts you guys in the spot of having something very new and unique in terms of evolution. And there's nothing you can do except to evolve and grow. And it looks like what happens is it's almost like it's just like being two complete nutcases. And you go, you know what? I have no idea what to do. And like, I don't either, if I'm honest. I know we got the love inside, and I know I can tell because I already know this. I'm sorry if I'm so, stuck up my navel, like miserable because of my own evolution. It's like I'm having my issues too, and we both know the only way we're going to handle this is like, I know what you're going to say already. Well, let me say it. Okay. Well, okay. No, I'll say it. Trust me. I love you. Let's just dive into this thing and do it. Okay. Are you ready? Okay, I'm trusting you. Okay, I'm trusting you. And I know you trust me. I love you. I love you. Okay, so let's do it. Sploosh. Wow. So we did it, and that was cool. And something brand new happens that never existed before, and it's something beautiful. Okay? Okay? So it's like you're fermenting and creating love out of love. Love breeds love. I'm going to leave it at that, okay, Scorpio? I don't want to spoil it. You know what to do. Watch your sun, moon, and rising. Check out all the links below. Go watch the Astrodoodles. Okay, take care. All the best, Scorpio. Bye-bye.